Radhe Radhe. Today is Thursday, 12th January 2023, and we're here to record our recap video for the Bhagavad Gita Recitation series for Chapter 2. Along with me is Mummy.
Radhe Radhe, everybody.
We'll first get started with a rendition of all the 5 verses we covered today, followed by a word, an important word in Sanskrit for each one, then brief explanation, and then again another rendition.
Okay, so let's start with verse number 46 of chapter 2. Yavan artha udpane sarvata samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanataha कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूः मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि योगस्थः कुरु कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्ध्य सिद्धयो समो भूत्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते दूरेण ह्यवरं कर्म बुद्धियोगात् धनञ्जय बुद्धौ शरणम् अन्विच्छ कृपणा फलहेतवः बुद्धियुक्तो जहातीह उभे सुकृतदुष्कृते तस्माद् योगाय युज्यस्व योगः कर्मसु कौशलम्. Okay, so let's see one important word, Sanskrit word from each verse. So verse number 46, let's look at Brahmanasya. Brahmanasya, very important word. That is the one who realizes the absolute truth. Then, verse number 47. Let's look at the word Sangaha. Sangaha means attachment. We usually have attachment to things. In this verse, Krishna is saying, don't get attached to inaction. You continue doing your duty. Verse number 48, the very first word, Yogasthaha. That means you be steadfast in Yog. And Yog means union with Supreme. Verse number 49, let's look at this word, Sharanam. Sharanam means you take refuge. And verse number 50, a very important word is Karmasu Kaushalam. That means we have to learn the art of working skillfully that means in proper consciousness. So we'll go over to Gagan and he will explain to us these verses.
Yes, thank you, Mummy. So chapter 2, verse 46, the catchphrase here is, well, well, because Sri Krishna uses the analogy of a well compared to an ocean or a large lake. So well here really in terms of an element of surprise, that if one heads towards yoga and the absolute truth, one can in fact accomplish everything that is to be learned from the Vedas, which are very, very extensive. So the idea here is that the aim of the Vedas, whether one realizes or not, is to help unite the soul with God. And the way to do that is that there are material rewards or allurements that are offered. And so just like a medicine pill, it's often sugar-coated. It's to help you absorb the bitterness in it, but which is good for your health. Likewise, Karma Kand, the rituals of the Vedas, they give us material rewards, and it's a means to help distract us from the world and eventually attach our minds to God. Now, indeed, if one already directly gets one's mind attached to God, then one has fulfilled the purpose also that was in the Vedas. So that's the essence here for chapter 2, verse 46. Chapter 2, verse 47, ever famous, ever popular. School kids in India know it. Swamiji says it's quoted very, very often. It's often the one that people know to recite and often the one that people want to talk about. Here, as a question, the catchphrase is farmers' fruits. There are 4 elements to this verse here, and of course, extensive commentary that we encourage you to take a look at later. But really, what it says is, 1, we have a right. The right is to do our duty. So do our duty, but not be attached or connected to the outcomes, not focus on those results. Second is the fruits. There will be certain fruits or rewards of those activities, but those are not for our enjoyment. In fact, we saw in class, and we'll see in this video as well, that they are for the pleasure and enjoyment of God. Third one, often easy to forget, is that even while we do our work, we should give up the pride of doership. So doership, also in Sanskrit known as kartritvabhiman. So give that up. And then the fourth element is, one thinks, if I'm not supposed to focus on the outcomes, maybe I should just escape and not work at all. But Sri Krishna says, do not be attached to inaction, akarmani. So those are the 4 aspects, and Swamiji nicely describes this as the NATO principle in his commentary, not attached to outcomes. So that is the essence for chapter 2, verse 47. And the question, the catchphrase is farmers' fruits. If we are the farmer, we are not entitled to those fruits. But we also will learn God provides us the energy to work and, working through those material gunas. So if God, of course, is to be considered as the farmer, yes, indeed, the fruits are for him, for his pleasure. Chapter 2, verse 48, this is the one where the catchphrase is successful sailing. It's a question because the commentary talks about sailing as an example. And here we learn a definition of yoga, equanimity, accepting all circumstances with serenity. And so just like, life has vicissitudes, ups and downs, trials and tribulations, when we sail, we need to have equal, attachment in a way, but you want to abandon that, whether it's success or failure. So waves are going to have their tendency to go up and down. That's the nature of the ocean. If we are bothered with trying to reduce the impact of the waves, then our sailing will not be successful. So we will see success, we will see failure, but that is the element of practicing equanimity and equipoise. In fact, we put our duty, we do our efforts, and we accept everything as the will of God. So the question again is successful sailing. Chapter 2, verse 49, we are introduced to a word for misers, which is kripana. So the catchphrase is material misers. Here it's talking about when we work, there's an external attitude, and then there's external activity, and there's an internal attitude. And those who cannot, control their senses, in the scriptures, they're defined as kripana, as misers. In fact, we need to be offering everything to God for the pleasure of God. And so eventually the goal is to keep on working and move towards service, not just external charity or service, but service and activities with the intention directed toward God. Finally, chapter 2, verse 50, good riddance to good reactions. Often, good riddance is said to things that are bad. Here, Sri Krishna tells us that if we work skillfully with the right consciousness, that is karma yoga or buddhi yoga, then we can get rid or get rid of good and bad reactions in this life itself. So in fact, it's good riddance to good reactions as well as to bad reactions. One wonders when one works with karma yoga, does one's performance drop? But Swamiji helps explain that the performance, in fact, has a greater impact. And he does that by giving the example of a surgeon that you can go back and take a look. And in fact, we see that Arjun, after he heard the wisdom, the dialogue of the Bhagavad Gita, his performance improved even more because he was fighting as a dharma, as his duty, directly in service for Sri Krishna. So those are the 5 verses, brief explanation for what we learned today. One more round now, we shall hear the recitation of them.
Yavan artha udpane sarvata samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanataha कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भुः मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि योगस्थः कुरु कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्ध्य सिद्धयो समो भूत्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते दूरेण ह्यवरं कर्म बुद्धियोगात् धनञ्जय बुद्धौ शरणम् अन्विच्छ कृपणः फलहेतवः बुद्धियुक्तो जहातीह उभे सुकृतदुष्कृते तस्माद् योगाय युज्यस्व योगः कर्मसु कौशलम्. So hope it helps for all of you to revise all these 5 verses. Over to you, Gagan.
Yes, we look forward to your continued presence and participation. So for this class, we shall meet next week, that is Thursday, 19th January 2023. That's going to be Friday morning, 20th January 2023 in India. And in fact, before that, we hope to see you in under 2 days, which is Saturday, 14th January 2023. That is at 8 a.m. Central Time in Dallas, 7:30 p.m. same day in India. That is going to be for our Bhagavad Gita study series for chapter 6. And in fact, right after that class ends, we also welcome you to the very, very important Jagat Gurutam Divas celebrations, commemorating Maharaj Ji's accolades and everything he has offered to us directly and indirectly. So there's going to be Maharaj Ji's gems right after our Bhagavad Gita study class, followed by a quiz. We'll be conducting that quiz coincidentally, so look forward to that. And there will then be Preeti and Takshari. So lots involved, lots in store for everybody, and lots of celebrations throughout the weekend. As we, of course, wrap up, it is already Lohri now in India. So happy Lohri to all those celebrating, and many other festivals this entire weekend. Makar Sankranti coming up, Pongal, plenty. So with that, we again look forward to seeing you very soon in under 2 days. Till then, happy studying. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.